Hi everybody, this is Ellie. Thanks so much for joining me today for a video where I share my 2023 planner setup in my A5 size Take a Note. The way this video will go is that I will chat about some planner thoughts here at the top, then I will share my new cover in detail, and after that I will do a flip through and chat about how I'm using each section of the planner. I will leave some timestamps down below in case you want to jump around. So I did originally plan to film my setup video in mid-December. I thought I was going to be super organized and be able to go into 2023 with a fully functional planner just ready for my pen, but that didn't happen. I chatted in my last video about planner discontent or indifference, and that didn't start this year. It carried over from the end of last year. And as I mentioned in the video, it was more about my low mood than about the planner itself. So since I've realized that, I have enjoyed being in here much, much more. I have given myself permission to kind of stop fixating on what might not be perfect or working in this planner and focus on what does. So I think it's actually a happy accident that this video is coming a month into 2023 because I can chat about things that have been working in here, things that haven't, and little tweaks and changes that I've made throughout January. And if you're interested in how I originally planned to use this, I did film a migration video. So I shared how I was using my B6 Wonderland 222 last year, and how I hope to translate that into this A5 Take a Note. I think I've stayed pretty true to my plan with a few changes here and there. Let's chat about this gorgeous cover. If you've been following me, you might recognize this. This is another cover from Magdalena at Mansorah Atelier, and I absolutely love it. It is the same leather that I had in my B6 cover from last year. It is the olive grace leather. It is gorgeous. It's very, very smooth, almost slick to the touch. It smells amazing. And as you can see, this particular piece has some beautiful striations. This leather does mark up. Let me grab last year's. So maybe you can see, but it has some scratches, some kind of indentations, some scuffs, and I love it. I personally really, really like when my planners look used, so I knew I wanted this leather again. And this cover here, the B6, because it had strings on it, she does have 2 layers here because it's so thin. Otherwise, the weight of the strings and notebooks will cause this to pull down and fold. But I knew that for this year, I wanted a very close fitting notebook. I wanted this A5 cover to feel like the cover of the notebook itself, or at least as much as that's possible. So this is just one layer of the grace leather, and it molds around the notebook beautifully. You can see here, it's also a close fit at the edges. And I really sat and thought about what kind of closure I wanted for this notebook. I really wanted it to feel as slim as possible. I wanted it to feel more like notebook than cover, if that makes sense. So as much as I love the strap, it does add, in my opinion, quite a bit of bulk. So I didn't want that. I considered doing just kind of the traditional traveler's notebook style elastic. And I think that's probably, right now I would say that's my favorite closure for a leather cover. I just love that it's always right there and attached. But the issue with that was then if I did that, I would have to figure out some sort of pen loop situation. I've had pen loops on the front before. They look beautiful. I like how functional they are. I don't love that they kind of create a bump when the cover's open and you're writing on this side. And then obviously you could have one attached here, but because I knew this was already going to be so close, I didn't want to worry about anything that would interfere with the tabs. So I asked Magdalena if she would be open to making a pen sleeve for me. And as you can see, she was, and this is absolutely beautiful. So I asked her specifically for a pen sleeve that would fit 2 pens, a Tombow, and then just a regular pen. And I chose to get it in this dark brown grace leather, so it's the same leather here. And I love this combination. Last year I had this B6 size folder with my olive cover, so I already knew these looked beautiful together, and this is the elastic she would be using, so look at how well that matches. So basically this was sized for my A5. It's a nice sturdy but not too tight elastic, and it keeps it all closed in just perfectly. And this has had to stretch out over time. I've only had it for maybe a week or so, and when I got it, it was, you know, flush, and I was thinking, oh boy, are my pens going to fit? But you know, leather, it does stretch, it just needs some time to mold. So a Tombow and 1 pen fit beautifully. I also have this skinny, what is it? A Pentel Orenz pencil that I've been using, and this slips in here as well. I need to leave it in a little bit longer so that it really molds. Oh, can you hear that leather sound? But I think after a little while it will be perfect, and even if it stays like this, they are perfectly snug and they're not going anywhere. So this worked out even better than I could have hoped. Having my pens with my system is something that makes such a difference to me. It just makes it easier, and the easier that things are for me to grab and use, the more likely I am to actually use them. And being consistent is always a goal for me in my planners and my journals. My planner especially though, because like I've said, this is the hub of my system, and if I get to nothing else, getting in here is enough. So if you know Magdalena's work, you'll know that the scallop is her signature, and there's just something about it that I love so much. You can see the leather is kind of scraped or scuffed there. That doesn't bother me. It's meant to be used, but she has the scallop there. And then I did ask for the scallop pocket on the front and on the back. The stitching is beautiful as always. And I did also order an A6 cover from her, but I will share that in a later video. So this is the cover, and I hope to be in this for the entire year. I do also have the clear vinyl cover that I ordered directly from Take a Note to put on the planner if for some reason I just want something wipeable or a change. Before I get into the specifics of the A5 Take a Note, I just want to chat really briefly about the setup. So obviously my main planner is the A5 size Take a Note. It is a full calendar year planner. And because it only has 4 blank pages at the end, or 2 spreads really, I did decide to put in a Hobonichi A5 memo notebook that could function as extra writing space for collections or notes or anything as needed. So this I plan to have staying in here with the A5 all the time. That just slips right in here alongside the back cover of the planner itself. In the front here, I used this last year too. It is an A6 Midori folder, so it just has these different sections, which I love. And I will put stickers in here that I pull from for the month. I don't have any in here at the moment, but I will pull from them as needed. And something that I've added to my lineup this year is a health tracker. So I'm going to try and use it this year and see how it goes. I will share this in a separate video, but for right now, I just want to show you that it is the Take a Note Slim Weekly insert. It is a standard size. This is technically for half the calendar year, but I will make it work for the whole year. And again, I'll show that in a future video. But I chose this size and this insert because I figure if I want to have this with me, if I need it all to be in one, This will slip in here just like that, or it could go in the back too. It would just be bulkier back there. And then I could have everything all in one. And I think that that is perfect. I'm not used to having a kind of health tracker, so having it with my actual system that I'm touching every day, I think will be the biggest help in me actually using it. So this is still pretty slim, and I'm just really, really happy with this whole setup. Right now, I haven't had this slipped in here. It's just been on my desk within arm's reach, but I think it will probably end up in and out of this throughout the year, and I just love that it's an option. And one last thing that I wanted to mention about the cover setup is, oh, maybe you can hear that crinkle, is that because when I first opened this, and I'm putting no pressure on it, but it kind of sits like that, and then as I get into it, it just smooths itself out. I ended up cutting a piece of vellum paper to size and slipping it in behind, because I find that it just opens much more smoothly when it has the slick surface of the vellum and not just the nap of the inside of the leather. I don't know, I've never done this before. Is this a thing that people do? But it's been working out for me, and yeah, it's been working out for me. The only thing is that this kind of crinkles up, I think, sometimes if I'm doing it a lot maybe, but I know the sizing is right, so we'll see. I'll continue to play around with it, but as long as this does lay flat, which it always does, I am happy with it. And let's get into the planner itself. So we have my end page here, and you can see all of the tabs that I've included this year. These tabs are all from Planner Monkey Co. And at the time of filming, I do still have a code that's available in the description if you're interested. So I got a transparent set that had January through December. And then it also had some blank tabs with different script stickers that you could stick on them, or you could put your own stickers on them, label them yourself, leave them blank. I obviously decided to label them. So this first tab here says year. This one says month, and I use that for month. And there wasn't actually a monthly or month script included, but there was a script that said money, so I just cut it out and I have an abbreviation that works just fine. I have lists for some lists or collections, and at the very end here I have notes. And because I am someone who has trouble committing and also has trouble sticking tabs down in a straight line, I end up putting them on clear post-it tabs that are removable, cut them to size, and that way it lets me fiddle with it when I am trying to line them up. I am really feeling the typewriter font this year, and you'll see that throughout this planner. I always like to have something here on this first end page because I feel like it's just welcoming me into the system. And who better to welcome me into my notebook than Brandi Kincaid? I have mentioned her before. This is from one of her Extravagant Hope mailers, and I just love her work. The art, the words, the heart behind it, it really speaks to me, and I'm really happy to have this card in here. I just glued it down. This is some scrapbook paper from a Michael set and some washi tape to finish it off. Simple, but really warm and cozy for me. Nothing on this page here. And then we get into the yearly overview. So I've decided to use this spread here as a cycle tracker. Because I had the data from last year, I just put in, last year's dates. And this year I will just mark it off with whatever my Tombow color from the month is. This little sticky note made it from last year's planner. And I am someone whose what ifs tend to lean towards the negative or the catastrophizing. What if it's awful? What if you fail? What if you fall? What if, what if, what if? And this little guy just reminds me that the what ifs can be hopeful too. What if it's great? What if you do so much better than you expected? But what if you fly? So he's hopeful and heartfelt, and it just is also adorable and makes me smile to see him there. And this is a tracker. I've never seen one quite like this, and I do love that you can see the entire year at a glance. The lines are very, very faint. I'm not sure you'll even see them, but there are 2 faint lines here that you can write habits on. And I actually think you can also use the dates, the numbers, and the actual days to track as well. So this is just something I'm tracking for myself. Again, I'm just coloring it in using whatever the tombow of the month is. And I haven't decided if there's anything yearly that I want to track yet. So I've just left it and I will fill it in as I need to. And then we get to the yearly index. Originally, I had thought that I would use this as an index of any kind of notes or collections that ended up on the daily pages. Because these columns are so generous, I knew that I would have little notes and lists throughout, and I thought that this would be a great space to write down any of the ones that I wanted to revisit. But I made it through the end of January. I realized that I didn't want to revisit or chronicle any of the lists that I'd made. So I thought, I wonder if there's another way to make use of this space. And last year I chose 4 monthly memories and chose a sticker for each one of them. So for example, this was how I did my memories last year and my reflection and look ahead spreads. But I thought I really want to try to be a little more creative and practice a little bit more of my sketching. So I figured maybe this could be a space where I combine them. So I just chose some memories from the month, grabbed my Le Pen technical drawing pens for this, and went ahead and sketched. And I am so happy with how this turned out. So we worked on a 2,000 piece puzzle. This is to represent my low mood, teaching. We watched The Bear, which I absolutely loved. It was way more intense than I thought it would be, but it just felt real and raw and with that thread of hope that I need through all of my content. I read Sorcery of Thorns. I absolutely love that too. It was a good month for me in terms of the content I was consuming. We baked some croissant twists, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with Mr. Mouth, but we dug it out of our game shelf, found a battery for it, and had so much fun playing it. So that made its way here as well. At the top here, I am swatching my Tombow or color of the month. I haven't written the numbers, but I probably will just so that I have it for reference. And this bottom section, I decided to keep track of social media things. So I have my Instagram followers, my YouTube followers, and any revenue that I earn from AdSense. Then I have put down these icon stickers from Planner Monkey Co. And the plan is to write down any YouTube videos that I publish each month. So I love this. It is simple, it is functional. I use this light gray Tombow throughout. I used this last year too. You can see this is probably my favorite Tombow if I had to just have one. This is the N89. I love the N79 as well. It's just a little bit darker, so I like how subtle this is and how you can still see it. I've also been using pencil, like I said, a lot just to draw some of the lines. These were actually in pen, but I switched to pencil after because, first of all, I can erase it when they're not straight or I misalign things, but it's just a great option. So I'm actually really happy with this because these spreads, inevitably, whatever planner it's in, I never end up using them. So this is fun, and it's also fun to stretch myself a little bit and to play around and do some doodling. So I have that set up through the end of the year there. And then we move into the monthlies. So in the Take a Note, the months of the year are all together at the front, same as in a Hobonichi. In the Wonderland 222 that I had last year, they were embedded throughout the weeklies, and I actually find that I prefer that, but it's not a deal breaker either way. So this sticky note is still here from my migration video. This is how I plan to use this section. Obviously, I haven't gotten here. That's okay. My dream planner, which is my goal planner for this year, has taken a back seat for a long time now. I do hope to get back into it, but I'm also not going to force anything. I did choose my word of the year, which is change, as in change is the only constant. So that will make its way into this planner somewhere, somehow. I haven't decided yet, and I'm not in a rush. But this is good for us to just see what the monthly layout is. So as you can tell, there is a lot of space around the actual calendar, which is great. I knew that I wanted to keep my reflection and my look ahead prompts in this spread because I had the space. And I originally thought about putting my sticker memories here as well, but I worried that would be a little too busy. And then I had the idea of sketching my memories where I just showed you. So this is how my January monthly ended up looking. My monthlies I use as overviews for birthdays, appointments, events, anything like that. So I just went ahead and drew in the little birthday icons because I wanted them to be pretty small. And then I still use this little signifier for any appointments. I put them in red so they stand out, and I color in the triangle once they're completed. Then we have my prompts. So this is always one of my favorite parts of my monthly setups, is doing this reflection. And I did this for all of 2022 using prompts from Zoe Diaz-McLeese, who I will link below. She'll change it up every so often, and I just love seeing the prompts that she has because they work for me. They're a really good mix of kind of tangible things that I'm watching or reading or listening to, as well as things that make me think. So the ones that I've chosen to start this year are reading, watching, listening, creating, learning, releasing, welcoming, celebrating, grateful, and inspired. And then I was thinking of what I wanted for my look ahead prompts. And I had some questions last year that worked really, really well, but they were just starting to feel a little bit repetitive at the end of the year. So I found these 3 questions that I like. I wrote them exactly as I found them in the blog so that I could reference them, but I'll change them up a little bit just to suit me better going forward. So they were by Christy Hegstad. I will link her as well below. And the first one is, what one word do you want to describe your month? What one project will you achieve, complete, or move significantly forward on? I think it is maybe supposed to say. And what one daily action will you take to keep your mindset strong? So for me, it's basically like, what one word do I want to describe February? Gentle. What one project will I work on? YouTube videos, making them more consistently. Hi guys. And what one daily action will I take to help me, to support me, to move me forward? Anything like that. And oh, for that one, I put dance. I have found that if I play some songs that inspire me to move in the morning, whether it's to just kind of bounce around and have my own little dance, or just to move as I'm making my bed or folding laundry or anything like that, it makes a big difference in my day. So that is one habit that I'm trying to cultivate. I really like the idea of these, and going forward, I'm just going to shorten it to one word, one project, and one daily action, and I will know what those mean. And this section here, I wasn't sure at first how to use them, and then I realized it would be a great place for me to forward plan the videos that I hope to film. At first I was scribbling them in with pencil, but then I realized it would be much easier if I used some sticky notes that I have. So I have these ones here. They're both by Midori, and I got them from Jet Pens, and they're the perfect size, especially these square ones. And it turns out that the first couple of months actually have colors that match my Tombow that I'm using, but that's not a priority going forward. So I put it in here, and then I can move them as needed, and it's just nice to kind of have that plan going forward. So this is February. I just changed up the setup here a little bit. I just extended the kind of header, and I don't know, I feel like that might look too busy, but I'll wait and see how I like it at the end of the month. And instead of having these here, we've got the one word, one project, one daily action. And I'll decide if I want to do washi at the top or bottom, hand letter, maybe a quote, maybe nothing. We will see. In here, like I said, birthdays, appointments, and I also got these mini holiday scripts from Planner Monkey Co. I got the Canadian version because I'm in Canada. And I love the size and again, this typewriter font. And I also really like that the Take a Note planner doesn't already have the holidays in here, because that gives me the chance to put in the ones that I celebrate or any statutory holidays, and it doesn't clutter up the month at all. And something else I didn't realize until I read about it on a Facebook group, I think, is that it has these numbers here, and honestly, I just didn't pay attention to them at all. But this tells you what page you'll find the corresponding week on. So page 68 here is where we will find the 13th. Isn't that clever? I love that little added touch. It's like, if you're a bullet journaler, it's like it's doing some of the threading for us already. So a great option. It doesn't have the actual number of the weeks here, and I thought about putting it in, but I've never actually needed it. So if I do, I'll drop them in, but otherwise that's fine. So this is just how I have the monthlies. I did actually go ahead and write all the birthdays in this year. For some reason, last year I didn't, and I had to look them up every month or just kind of, you know, hope I was remembering them. But this year I did go for it. And this brings us to the end of 2023. And then there are 3 months into 2024. And when I first started playing in this, I don't think I realized that these were here, because if I did, this is where I would have preferred to do my swatch pages for pens and Tombows and brush markers, but I didn't even consider it. I started those at the back, and it is what it is. I will probably just use these for scratch pages, or, you know, if I think of something else, I have the space here, and if they stay blank, then they stay blank. But again, I think if anything, it'll likely be just more color swatches and random things like that. And then we come right into the weeklies, the dailies. I mean, it's both, really. So the way that this is set up is you have the weekly overview here, and then the week is on 2 pages. So you get a column for each day, and then you have this kind of subtle header at the top. I love how neutral this planner is. I didn't end up getting in here in December, so this first week was December 26th until January 1st. So I realized just a couple of weeks ago, actually, that I could repurpose these pages as a spot for collections, because I love the size of these columns. Like, it's a really good space that suits the way that I plan and the way that I like to make lists. So I just whited out the dates, and I used this washi tape from Sweet Freckle Designs. Have another washi tape from Note and Wish, and my friend Cecilia at Scientist Plans had sent some washi. I think this is the meatball washi. I don't quite remember, but it is adorable, so I have her there as well. And I did consider putting in the collections before I film this for you guys, but I'm only going to put in collections as I need them. That's, again, harkening back to the bullet journal method, and I don't want to have headers here that I never end up using. So as they come up, I will include them in here. I will probably only include ones that I think I might refer to throughout the year, because I do have this insert, like I said, and that'll just be for more random notes. But anything that I do see myself adding to a lot or looking back on will come in this space, because it is a little bit limited. I ended up having 2 spreads, so 4 pages of it. And as you can see, I have already used up 1. So this is my baseball tracker for 2023. I follow the Toronto Blue Jays, and fingers crossed for a great season coming up. I wish I remember where I first saw this spread idea, because it is not mine. I saw it on a Facebook group, but it must have been like back in 2019. And that was before I was sharing things, and I didn't screenshot and get her name or anything. So whoever you are, if you're ever watching, please feel free to let me know. But anyways, I love the whole process of this. I print out the schedule. This year I also printed it smaller so I could include this. I've got my Once More with Love baseball munchkin. And then I just grouped them into road trips, homestands. I have the dates, the team, and then a box for every game. Last year I did stripes and dots. I'll probably do the same this year because I liked it, it worked. I actually like this spread a little bit better, I think just because it's more spaced out, but I did not want to use more than one page for this guy, and it works just fine. So very excited to use this, very excited for the baseball season. And I did leave this section in hopes that we make it to the postseason and make it farther than last year. And then we move into the rest of the planner. I did also get these stickers from the Coffee Monsters Co. to mark the holidays in the daily pages. And let me see if we can find a few more because they are so cute. Where are we? Are we in February? So we have Valentine's Day, Family Day. I love how it fits up here because there's a lot of blank space up here. And they are also neutral. So I got her base set, and then she also had an additional Canadian set to add on. So I grabbed that too, and I went ahead and put those throughout the planner. Then we get into using the planner itself. The person who really inspired me to get this planner is Amy at Rustling Pages. They used the Take a Note last year and they're in it again this year, and I just love how functional and cute and neutral it was. Seeing their pages was what sold me on trying this in 2023. So I wanted to get back to kind of my bullet journal style. I just have my signifiers, I have a line here, my tasks, my memories, adding in some stickers throughout, some washi tape, and just seeing how it went. And it went well. Even though the first part of the year has been more of a struggle than I anticipated, I look at this and I see that I was in it. So it's working. I was surprised at the paper. So this has the 68 GSM Tomoe River paper. And obviously I knew it would be thicker, but it just felt different than I expected. It feels softer and less slick than the Hobonichi paper for sure. To me anyways, I am not an expert. And it was also making my pens write a lot darker or inkier on the pages. So you'll see on my first few weeks, I have this little marker from Planner Monkey Co. and I'm just writing down the pens that I was trying. So the Clenna 0.4, the Sarasa Mark-On 0.4. I was finding that the 0.4s were just a little bit darker and thicker than I wanted. So I did end up moving to the 0.3s. So the Energel 0.3 and the Sarasa Nano 0.3s have been my favorite in here so far. Here I just switched to drawing my signifier line with my color of the month. I used to do that in my Leuchtturm bullet journal. I just love how having one color throughout the month really feels cohesive. I've been trying to use this weekly spread more. So here I had a couple of habits I was tracking, getting up with my alarm and drinking water. Although I changed that icon because that just reminded me of a period or cycle icon. Birthdays and appointments in here. I was also choosing one washi tape to use for a week. And I really like that. Again, I just like that cohesiveness. And this is fun. I hadn't even considered using 2 columns in each daily. I'm not sure how well it picks up, but most of the lines in the grid are really faint dashes, but you've got the one across the top. Well, you have one here, one down the middle, and one at the bottom there as well. That is a solid line. So there is a faint division if that's something that you're interested in. And I saw Alecia Plans and Keena prints using their Take a Notes in a very similar way. I'll link them both below. So I got inspiration from them as well. And this was a lot of fun. This is definitely more memory keeping, more sticker memory keeping than I'm used to doing in my planner, but it worked out really, really organically. I still had the space to do my tasks. I could even add some more throughout the day. And then a lot of space, obviously, for memories and stickers and trying to choose colors that all go together. And I really like how this spread turns out. Continuing on with the same thing here. Here I've moved my habits to the side and then I did end up touching the rest of it. So there you have it. This way though, I did leave a longer column. I had some vague idea of doing a running list there. never happened. I was dividing up this top space here for events, and then we moved to this one. This might be my favorite spread so far. So I sectioned off the top for memories or appointments if I had any, but I didn't. And then I drew a line at the bottom to section off a space for quotes. And I like that that made this part a little bit smaller, because on some of these days I was having trouble filling up all of the space. You can see I kind of just put a bigger sticker there. And yeah, I really, really love this. I love how it looks. I love how it came together. I love that it gives me a lot of space for both tasks and memories. The only thing about this spread is I find that when I am planning in this type of spread, it's harder for me to just jump in and jot things down. I'm fine at the beginning when I'm writing out my task list. That's no problem. But when I start getting into memory keeping, it's a more slow and intentional process, because I'm thinking of what sticker I want to use, the color scheme, how it goes together overall. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I actually had a lot of fun with that, and I definitely see myself doing that again in the future. It is just going to be whatever I'm in the mood for. I also love how full these spreads look and how fun they are. But sometimes if I just want to be able to jump in and out, I want it to be more pen and feel the freedom to write, then I will switch it up, which is what happened here. So I went right back to kind of the original bullet journal style. Hardly any stickers on this spread. Some notes here: planner thoughts, planner discontent, finished a book. What else? Oh, I went back to the same kind of habit tracker that I used last year, so I just made sure I had enough space. That works great. This is really familiar to me. I obviously didn't finish it this week, but there it is. The pen that I was using. Yeah, I did enjoy the Sarasa Nano. My number one right now, though, is still the Keena in the 0.3. And on these last weeks, I have sectioned off the top for events, appointments, and also for one kind of main thing I would love to do that day. If I get to nothing else, I'm going to try to get to whatever is up here. And it's not even like it's the most important task or anything. It's just, well, I guess objectively, maybe it's not the most important task, but it's something that I really want to work on. So that's how I choose that. Very simple. And instead of just having one signifier line, I have a column here. And I actually really liked how that looked, so I continued on with it. Yep, I continued on with it into February. So that has the exact same setup. Here I have my habits, and I've put in a sleep tracker. Haven't kept up with that, but work in progress. Appointments, I've got the column. The pink is a little bit brighter to me than the blue, and I am not usually a pink person, but I have some washies I want to use this month that have pink, so I decided to branch out, and I like it. I know at the end of the month it'll all come together. This week I decided to do kind of a faux Dutch door. So, I mean, that basically just means that I fold it so that when I'm in the second half of the week here, I can see this weekly overview. I don't think that's really necessary for me. I plug these in to the dailies, but just to help me remember to track my habits and also just to try something new. So really simple, just folds like that, and then when I'm done with the week, it will unfold and hopefully flatten out so it doesn't get too bulky. This planner gives me options, and that is what I love the most about it. Here I tried to use the Uni Jetstream in the 0.5 just so that there was no kind of dry time and to see if I loved it as much as I used to. And I don't know what it is, but all of my black ink in the Uni Jetstreams just doesn't seem to write nicely. Like, it doesn't seem to lay down a nice line. It feels kind of, it's not skipping. Like, it has skipped on me before, and it's not what that is. It just feels patchy. Maybe patchy is the word that I'm looking for. And I can really tell because whenever I use the red inks or the blue inks, they are so much better for me. They're just so much darker and smoother. So I'm not sure what it is. It was a new refill. I know because I just recently put it in, and I kept that pen aside so that I could try it. But anyways, you know, good to try, and it was nice not to have any wait time, but I went right back to my Keena for the rest of the week. In terms of setting it up, I have just been setting it up one spread at a time, just dependent on my mood and what I think will be the most functional for me. I did go ahead and put in these birthday stickers from Planner Monkey Co. on the birthdays. I didn't write the names yet. I will do that as I go, just kind of depending on how the spread looks. And that takes us to the last section here, which, as I mentioned, is very small, just 2 spreads, 4 pages. And this is where I started my swatching. So Tombows and other markers here, pens, fine liners, brush pens, and here I have a When Did I Last spread. So like I said, when I started these back pages, I hadn't even considered using any of the front sections, those extra calendars, that extra week as collections or swatch pages. So things are a little bit all over the place in here. That's okay. I'm trying to embrace it. But this is my When Did I Last spread. So I just have the months, the things that I want to track, and this adorable little soot sprite from Once More with Love. And then I figured I kind of looked at this one as quadrants. So if I want to put anything else back here, I can. We'll just see how it goes. Here is where I've been kind of comparing colors and pens that I want to use per month. And oh, this is what I use for when I'm doing my highlighting sometimes if I wanted to have a clean edge. This isn't my tip. I learned it from somebody on Facebook, but you just run your highlighter right over, and then when you peel it up, it has that nice straight edge. So I leave that here, some extra tabs I was playing with, and these are some of the collections that I had from my migration video that I thought I might want to put in. Again, I will put these in as I need to. I'm not going to kind of force or rush anything. I'd rather it just come together organically. And this notebook here is totally blank so far. I'll probably put a sticker on at some point. But I did go through and mark the halfway points as if I wanted to divide it into quadrants, because I don't really see myself using a whole A5 page for any notes or anything that will go in here. So I figure this will let me just divide it in half, either vertically or horizontally, or even in quadrants, depending on what I'm using the space for. And I just watched YouTube one day and went ahead and made those marks with a pencil. Again, having this kind of already ready for me is going to be crucial to me actually using it. I also numbered the pages. There's 48, so I will probably do an index or maybe like a post-it index here. And I will challenge myself to actually use this, because I tend to think, oh no, there's only 48 pages. What if I run out? And no, we are going to actually try and use this if and when I have something that I need just kind of blank writing space for. So this is the planner for this year. I have been using this, I guess it's a bookmark that came with the Take a Note planner. The most important kind of freedom is to be what you really are. That's beautiful. It has the 2023 yearly overview here, and I considered laminating this, but I actually really like the kind of cardstock feel. It can act as a little bit of a blotting paper as long as I place it in the right spot. And it's sized to be a bookmark, so you can see it lines up to stick over a little bit, which is perfect. I also usually keep this blotting paper in here, and I have another one somewhere, but I just keep them floating throughout and use as necessary. This one I try to keep as my actual bookmark. Otherwise, I thought about having a tab per day, but I learned last year I actually like just flipping to the month tab and then kind of paging through to get to the current day. Just lets me enjoy my pages more than if I were always only flipping to the current date. So that is my setup for 2023. I am really, really happy with it. I think it's going to be functional. I love the look and the feel of it. And I love how much room I have to play with it. I like that there's options for me to change it up and to try new things. And that being said, I mean, things could change throughout the year, you know. never say never. I don't hold myself too strictly to anything, but this feels good. And I'm happy with the setup, and I'm happy that I took it slow, and I'm glad to be here sharing it with you guys. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.